Welcome to Storytellers, the podcast where we hear the tales and journeys of inspiring members and supporters of NSA Houston. I'm your host, Beth Rohani, and here everyone has a unique story. So let's get nice and cozy as we spotlight our next storyteller. My guest today is Sherri Wick. She is a mental wellness and personal development expert who owns Simply Divine Consultants. She's also the secretary for the National Speakers Association Houston Chapter's Board of Directors. I'm thrilled to introduce her and get to share this time with her. Sherri, how are you doing today?
I am doing well, Beth. Thank you so much for inviting me in this space.
Very fun to be able to get to know each other. I know that you and I are both new to the industry this year, and we are just exploring it, and there's so much to explore and be able to be a part of. I know you have had an extensive journey throughout your career professionally, and I want to just kind of dive right in and learn a little bit more about it. I know mental wellness is a very trending topic right now and super important because, believe it or not, I was actually doing this event where I learned that 4 out of 5 people in a room are suffering from some form of mental health issue. And
Absolutely.
I personally think that that's such a drastic number when we really look at it in a micro level, because mental wellness doesn't necessarily just deal with one line. It is depression, anxiety, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, narcissism. I mean, there's just so many different elements. So let's go back into your world and just talk about where you started, how you got here, and just learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so I'll start way back. So I thought when I graduated high school, I was going to be a pediatrician because the goal always was to help. My grades told me otherwise, that that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I didn't know what I wanted to do. I visited the career office, loved the career office, and they introduced me to the world of psychology. So family member was in a neighboring area and said, there's a university you should check out. I checked it out and I loved what they mentioned. They mentioned providing support to the community from a mental health standpoint. I got accepted into the program and it changed my life. So I graduated with a Master of Science in Clinical Psychology. I had an amazing internship experience that really opened me up to what wellness can look like and what the community of mental health looks like. Loved it. But what I did was I recognized how important career is in our society, how we introduce ourselves based on what we do, how we connect with each other based on what we do. And I saw how that can actually hurt and harm our society as well if our identity is solely focused in on your career. So I merged the two, career development and mental health. And I have seen the impact on it as I work with people. So that is what opened me up to a more holistic viewpoint. And I utilize the 8 dimensions of wellness to help people understand that mental health is not the absence of illness, right? Mental health is, we live in this world. This world is stressful. We experience health challenges. We experience relational challenges. Therefore, there's stress. Stress impacts the body. So my focus has continuously been to help normalize mental health, mental wellness.
It's so important, more important these days than it's ever been. And I know
Absolutely.
when I go through my TikTok scroll, I don't know why, it shows me a lot of mental wellness type of content, and that content stems from eating healthy and being able to be
Absolutely.
self-aware of your body, being
Yep.
self-aware of those around you and how they impact you, setting
Your
boundaries.
environment. Absolutely.
All of it. It's super, super important in order to be able to maintain that wellness within you and reduce those stresses. And I know as an entrepreneur, I have to deal with employees on a daily
Absolutely.
basis. And
Absolutely.
I know within our organizations, we spend more time with our teens than in some cases we do with our family members. And
Absolutely.
to be able to really focus on the career elements, it's definitely something that entrepreneurs need and business owners need. So that's
Mhm.
very exciting to be able to see your focus. Now, I know throughout your journey, it wasn't always easy. What were some of the challenges that you had to go through in order to get to where you are?
Well, I would say the bigger ones, I didn't grow up having health issues. I'm very blessed to say I didn't have issues growing up, but I would say as I began to pursue the entrepreneur life, because I wasn't aware of what I was getting into. There's not like a book that says, alarm, be careful going into the entrepreneur world. So I was juggling, working full time, but also trying to make sure I build this entrepreneur journey on the side. The first one was I found out after going to the ER that I had what's called Wolff Parkinson White syndrome. I had never heard of that. I was in like the 1%. So we had to do a procedure on my heart to get things back to where they needed to be. Then maybe 3 weeks later, I lost vision in my left eye completely. And I had, after going to the ER, being diagnosed with optical neuritis. And so that was a process in and of itself. So really making sure that I was reducing my stress, making sure that I was taking care of myself while also, going on this journey. And this was right at the beginning. And so for me, that was like, okay, let me get deeper in my faith. Let me figure out what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe I don't need to do 5 things. Maybe this entrepreneurship journey can just be me starting. I really just took some time to figure things out. And then I began to make slower changes, not doing everything all at once right away, just because, you feel a calling on your life, but just really taking some time. I would say that was the time where I recognized, oh, this is truly wellness, right? Really integrating all the things that I had believed before, but applying that into my life was so crucial, which I believe that's what allows my story and my passion for this work to be so profound and infectious is I've gone through some stuff. And so I want to make sure people understand that I'm not here to just say it because it sounds nice. I truly care about those. And when I'm in spaces, I care about them. So I would say my health, and then just not truly understanding the business part of it was probably the most challenging, most uncomfortable, most vulnerable, but it's always worth it, just managing it a bit better.
The entrepreneurial side of it is never easy. I started my business and nobody ever handed me a manual on how to run a business.
Sure, right,
It's
right.
through experiences. And one of my favorite sayings was by Einstein. It's insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And
Hmm.
as business
Hmm.
owners, we learn from those experiences,
We
right?
do.
You grow by continuing to say, okay, this wasn't right, but how can I make it right? And being extreme problem solvers.
Absolutely. And observant. And being okay and comfortable, even though it's uncomfortable, with vulnerability and sitting down and figuring out what truly is working, because you can turn a blind eye. You can turn around and say everything is fine when it's really not. Servant leader is spot on. I definitely identify as such.
Very nice. And I guess in being able to go through the journey, you've had your downs, but you've also had your ups. So what have been some of your triumphs throughout the time?
I would say, well, we moved to Texas from Illinois. So being able to say that we now have a sunlight all the time, it feels like. But that just being able to know that I have supported my family and being able to change the environment, right? 8 dimensions of wellness, the environment. So the theme I would say, really truly, Beth, is freedom. That has been something that's been important to me, and also being able to support my mom. So seeing that into fruition has been um, it's been amazing. It's something that I'm truly proud of.
The different chapters in our story and in our lives is
Mhm.
definitely something that we all go through at different stages of our lives that we maybe not necessarily realize 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And it's
Mhm.
interesting because my dad one time told me um, he was 70 and I was turning 40. And he said, wait until you get to my age. And when you get to my age, you'll realize what I'm saying. And for the first time, I put myself in the body of me as that 70-year-old, and where would
Mm.
my mind be and what would I be thinking? And one of the biggest things was the value of time and how am I going to use that next 30
Mhm.
years in order or 40 years
Absolutely.
in order to be able to just make the best out of that time and surround
Mhm.
myself with those that inspire me and influence me and lift me. And so, who would you
Mhm.
say have been some of those individuals in your life that have been your role models and your inspirations?
Mm. I would say, she was my third grade teacher, Miss Peterson. She showed me the joys of life in what you do. Now, at that age, I didn't know that. Then in fifth grade, my teacher, Miss Kirtley, she enjoyed teaching. She enjoyed engagement, and that is something that I value. When I'm speaking, I am observing the room. I'm seeing who's engaged. I'm seeing if um, what I said is really hitting in a certain way, or if people are laughing at me just showing up and being me. High school, I remember teachers, but more so Miss Sandy. She was the volunteer coordinator for an organization, Kids Who Care, and I volunteered, and she inspired me because she cared. College, I would say now Dr. Davenport, caring for the kids, the students, making sure that they um, really understand that college is serious and it's important to show up. It's important to be involved. And it's important to communicate to professors that you're there, you're present, and that you have value. In grad school, Margie Salyer. I mean, I can go down. Margie Salyer, she, in my master's program, I mean, she really helped me understand what it means to show up for our clients. Of course, my mom. My mom is, I mean, she is phenomenal. I would say she taught me like true love, like to love unconditionally, no matter what, and to show up no matter what. My mom will give you the shirt off your back and not ask for it back. Um, I would say my honorary dad, who has passed away, he just showed what it means to love, right, without having my biological father in my life. And I could keep going. I
Wow.
would also say my faith has really guided me, truly, truly, truly guided me. Um, it keeps my faith keeps me standing. It keeps me moving through those challenges, and it keeps me taking risk because I do believe there's a calling on my life for sure.
That's fascinating. And I've heard the word a few times now that you've mentioned showing up. What does that mean to you?
We learn each other. The hope in relationships, we learn each other and we learn what that person or what you, Beth, what I need. And sometimes we might not have the words. So, in a moment where, let's give an example of challenge, in a moment where there's a challenge in your life, someone who has learned you, has listened to you, they then know how to be present and available for you. Now, that doesn't mean that they come to your house and help take care of you. That could be an example of showing up, but that could just be, you know what? I know that even though Sherri might be going through this, she values a motivational quote. And so I'm going to send her one. That is showing up. It's unconditional. You're not asking for anything in return. And it's genuine and you're using yourself. Sometimes showing up is sitting right next to someone in their moment. Not, you don't have to say anything, but that's an example of showing up. It could be anything, and it's coming from a place of unconditional love.
The one word that pops to my head, and you've said it a couple of times now, is value. And what value can you gain and what value can you give to others? And
Mhm,
it directly takes me into the mindset of our membership with the National Speakers Association.
mhm,
Showing up. A lot of people always say, just come, just be a part of it, just show up. Because what does that do for a new member? If you go in and you get involved, you get to see the people, you get to hear the
mhm,
perspectives. A few other words that you said was learning and growing, and the
mhm.
opportunity for showing up allows you to be able to develop yourself personally, professionally by surrounding yourself by those people who are also showing up.
It's amazing. I mean, this our workshop this month with Lois was profound for me. I left walking away with a clear understanding and a commitment to my focus. And that at first I was afraid. I didn't want to focus on one area, but now I understand the need, and I'm excited. I'm no longer afraid to. So value, growth. I mean, in those, what, 3.5 hours that we're together during the workshop in particular,
Yes.
I walked away with value. I walked away with clarity, a bit uncomfortable because now I've made this decision, a commitment, but now I already see the growth. I mean, I'm energized. It's phenomenal.
Ultimately, just because of the decision that you decided to show up.
Absolutely.
And for the most part, I think what we talked about earlier, the notion of servancy, we see it amongst
Hmm.
our presenters and our featured guests, and even
Absolutely.
the dynamic of the other board members. So, what does it mean to you this year to be a board member? And I know your position is secretary. And so,
Yes.
and what's your vision? What are you looking at growing into this role and developing ultimately?
So I would say when I first started, it was, I just have to figure out what I'm doing, and I want to do it well. That was the first. The first is I have to figure out what I'm doing. I'm doing well. I know I take great notes. I know I'm organized. So I knew that secretary would work. And then understanding our organization as a whole. What are we doing? Who are we doing it for? I really value now, especially in this entrepreneurial world, organization. So making sure we have our processes in order and all those things. And I would say getting more members to experience the benefits of it, just to see how we can continue building community. So I would say I'm in more of the exploration with the hopes to just contribute more.
That's where I'm at too. It's the support element
Hmm.
of it that,
Hmm.
again, I love doing things where I bring value and then in
Hmm.
return, you gain value. For you, any plans for the future in terms of your career, professionally, personally? I know Thanksgiving is around the corner. What are you thankful for this year?
Ooh, I am thankful for health. I am thankful for health. I have a phenomenal family and friend network. I have a phenomenal family, I have phenomenal friends, and then I have a phenomenal network. So I'm grateful for everyone in my life. I'm grateful for my faith. We do gratitude and thankfulness throughout our house. It is just something that is grounding. It reminds you of, what's the most important. Lois's workshop really helped me to narrow down. So I'm going to spend some time working on fine tuning and really actually relaunching, rebranding. So I'm excited about that. And just looking to see what happens in 2024. Great things are happening because great things have always been happening. But I have a different lens on now. So
So are you looking to expand your education through the National Speakers Association through things like uh, getting your CSP designation, or even I know we just kicked off
Speakers Academy.
Yes, yes. I blanked out
Yes.
for a moment there, but yes, last night was Speakers Academy, and that was
Yes. You know what? When I first started and Eric was mentioning Speakers Academy, I thought, oh my gosh, I hope to be a part of it. What does it come back every odd year or
2 years. Yeah.
every 2 years? Yeah. So I would love to hone in on that. The you said the CSP designation.
Yes.
I am new to that. Just by our conversation, there's some depth to it, but I would love to pursue that in the future. I am learning to take my time and learning to, really finish some things and then start. But I look forward to learning much more about CSP.
Well, and I just recently learned about CSP. So it is a Certified Speaking Professional designation. And from what
Mhm.
I understand, it does take time to be able to get. You can use the eSpeakers platform to be able to record a lot of your data in terms of your events and your finances. But it's
Mm.
amazing because you started out with one of your challenges was running a business, and how do you run a business? And I think these tools that we have access to that we can so easily take advantage of for anyone who hasn't started their business or is looking to start a business, it gives you the foundation, it gives you the
Mm.
fundamentals that you need in order to be able to kick off your speaking, coaching, authoring career. And so
That's wonderful.
yeah, definitely think it's something worthwhile because if you're going into the industry and you're already investing the time, then, knowledge
Why
is power,
not? Mhm.
right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
learning is growing. And so I definitely think those are great tools to be able to use to expand your wealth of knowledge, along with, again, the programs and the events that we have. Well, for me, I think it's definitely something that we as leaders in our organization, we see the value in, and it is something that will resonate because we're now experiencing it. And so throughout our experience, if we can go and express what we're learning and what we're gaining, it will
Mhm.
influence others to become a part, and our support system will just continue to grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm big on sharing, and I would say that's another reason why I value NSA. Again, the speakers we bring in, they are sharing, and it's an abundant amount of information. And I believe that's what we're called to do as well. Share.
Well, share, I completely agree, and brings complete value, and it allows you
Mhm.
to show up and with no expectation. So
That's
everything that
right.
we talked about just summed up in one sentence. Well, thank you so much, Sherry, for sharing with us today. And where can our audience find you?
I would say the website is sd-consultant.com. But I love LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. So just go ahead and type in my name, Sherri S. Wick, on LinkedIn, and you'll be able to connect with me.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be able to share your story and your journey with us, and also where the path takes you in the future. We're looking forward to being a part of it. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your servantship. Thank you for all the wisdom and knowledge and love and value that you bring to our organization. And most of all, thank you
Thank
for
you.
showing up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Beth. It's been a pleasure.
All right. This has been another episode of Storytellers. Thanks so much for joining us. Until next time, this is Beth Rohani. I'm signing off.